Hello everyone. After an interruption of about 5 years, I'm going to be continuing my series on how to draw Superman in a variety of different styles. This time in the style of a manly anime from the 90s, more of a generic style, but kind of based a bit on like something like Fist of the Northstar. Uh, so yeah, we're just starting here with the basic skeleton of Superman that we're drawing. Usually, I don't love starting with the stick figure method. I prefer to just draw the shapes of the limbs and things like that. But here, I think it does help with this kind of pose to get the bends of the limbs, because this is a very kind of, you're accentuating like the bends in the legs and in the curved arms. So it's appropriate here, I think. Um, Key things, very broad shoulders, right? Very broad shoulders and very long legs. They're still a little bit short here, so later on we may stretch them out a bit. So now I'm just drawing in some of the muscles. Very, very big shoulders, kind of like someone who's on steroids. They've got super hypertrophied shoulder muscles. Nice strong core, but pretty thin. We're going for like a triangular upper body shape. The leg muscles aren't as developed. It's more in the style. Most of the detail goes into the torso and shoulders and biceps. The legs and forearms, they're less detailed, more mainly because it's an animation kind of style, and those are the ones, the forearms and legs are the ones that are most moving all the time and kind of weird ways to get in perspective, so you just want to keep them as simple as possible. By the way, I'm using a digital app, so you'll see me a lot of times erasing things very cleanly or moving things around. Sorry to people who still use traditional pencil and paper. Digital is very convenient for this sort of thing, and also much more convenient for filming videos. Here I said before that the legs were too short, so I'm stretching them out, given my much longer leg proportions. Now that we've kind of got the rough body shape, we're going to start detailing it a little bit more, so doing cleaner lines, really making more final shapes for all the different muscles. So I just went off with the shoulder and pectorals here. Make them look like they're inflated like balloons, like they're ready to pop. Especially in this kind of pose where he's flexing them. Nice big, I don't know what you call this part of these muscles, but I'm going to call them the wings. In this kind of style, the abs look like almost like different, like they're unique objects that are embedded into the into the torso. So really make them sharply delineated and kind of like look like they're something that's just stuck in the body. Here I've made the thighs a little bit thinner or slender, maybe. A slight faint hint of muscle, but again, like I said before, the muscle here is less focused on. You can put some big strong calves in. Just reflected it there to make sure that it looks balanced. It's another good thing about digital, but you can also do it with a mirror if you're drawing by hand. Check that what you're drawing looks more or less okay, whether it's reversed or not. And obviously, like, bodies are inherently asymmetric, but it should still look like a body in the reflected view. And so it's a very good tool while you're drawing is to always be reflecting, in more ways than one, and see that it looks good. And if it doesn't, maybe stick it in the reflected view for a bit and draw in there to make sure that it's balanced. Here, going back, here I'm adding that thing of it, the muscles looking like popping. So really draw the kind of like individual sinew groups, or the different muscles of the pectorals, and make sure that it doesn't just look like one kind of like one big shape. It's made of like a few small sausagey kind of shapes. Same kind of thing with the shoulders. I didn't do it as much here. And then the biceps should also be, bulbous. Like, the muscles you're focusing on are the kind of muscles that someone who's just starting going to gym and doesn't really think about it too much would focus on. They want big chest, big shoulders, big biceps, and big abs. Everything else sort of, who cares? Here, I'll come back to the shape of the forearms later, because you'll notice I've done it, it's almost looking a bit sausagey, and I'll explain that in a bit. Drawing the hands, just drawing a clenched fist, which a clenched fist is the laziest hand shape to draw, because it's the easiest one to draw. However, again, for this kind of pose, it makes sense. You know, what else would he be doing? I noticed here while I was drawing that the hands looked wrong, and I realized it was just because the knuckles were like pointing outwards and it looked a bit dainty. And so for this pose, it made more sense for the knuckles to be pointing in, the hands to be pointing in. Gives like a rounder external shape, and makes it look almost like, it's the kind of position you do if you're flexing your biceps. They're just accentuating the abs again. Make sure the abs look rock hard and unrealistic. Accentuating the chest. Adding some muscles to the shoulder as well. The muscles don't have to be real. The point is just that he looks muscly, not that the muscles are actually accurate. So, just add sinews wherever you want. So here, come back to the forearms. Just adding some definition there. I thought, okay, well, what would it look like if I was doing it more in a more modern style? Because this is, again, sort of classic style. And in a more modern style, you might have more accentuated forearm muscles right there, right? It's not just like a curve, right? You've got some clearly distinguished muscles. But the 90s style here, again, it's for animation. You just make it more of a sausage. It's the same thing here. If it was a more modern style, maybe the thighs would be extremely developed, and you had a lot of muscles there, a lot of like interesting shapes, and this would now look more like a more modern Western superhero style. Also just more modern anime style as well. Comparing the two, but yeah, you'll notice the one I did draw in the end, with the kind of like, again, I'm going to call them sausagey kind of thighs and forearms. It's just better suited for the animation of that era. Now moving on to the head. I'm not happy with how the head turned out in the end. I didn't really plan this out before I went down and did it. It was more on the fly. So the head is probably the most sloppy part of the drawing. But whatever. Going for a very close inspiration from Kenshiro from Fist of the Northstar. Nose, really not happy with it. Might need to fix it in the future to make it look a little bit more accurate to the style I'm trying to copy here. But whatever. Small nose, mouth high up. The further the mouth is from the nose and the closer it is to the chin, the more the character looks a bit like a kind of a primitive, unevolved human. Almost troglodytic. So it works good for characters like the Hulk, but for Superman, you want like a nice, big, strong, jutting chin, right? So you want the mouth really high up and close to the nose, and a small nose. Nice angry eyes. Quite simple, really, just ovals with dots in them. Not much detail needed for the irises, at least not for this kind of drawing. I thought here the chin was a little bit too small, so I wanted to make it even more prominent. Yeah, there you go. Even more. And he was looking a little too kind of like evil, so I decided to make a much rounder, broader chin. Added a bit of a growl. Some lines around the face, some really accentuate the fact that he's squinting and angry. Detail in the ears. After that comes the hair, which is, a nice characteristic part of old anime. Generally, old anime, you've got some very big hairstyles, right? Like ridiculously big. And usually quite strong fringes. So again, here, I'm not entirely happy with how the hair turned out in the end, but whatever. Going, very much improvisational. I was just a sort of normal Superman, and then I just went and made it bigger and bigger. Here it's a little too small, so I just pushed that tuft out in the corner even further. There you see, more. Got to keep the classic Superman forehead curl. Joined it up with the corner tuft and made it a little more pronounced. In terms of kind of the guiding principle of this kind of hair, so I'm just tracing over it to show kind of like, with this kind of style, you want the hair, if you simplify down the drawing to bare essentials, you want the hair to have a very identifiable shape. And it's usually got to be quite a big shape, and it's quite pointy. And then you just take the broad shape and add all these little sort of mini tufts, and then you have anime hair. It's very simple. It's very simple to draw anime hair. Way easier than other styles drawings of hair. I also tried out a different way because you can do like a really really big hairstyle, or you could almost do like a really really short hairstyle. Just you want to go to extremes. So here I was playing around with like a very very short hairstyle, making it look a bit like a bruiser, a bit tougher. I decided after a little bit of playing around with it wasn't winning me over, but I do think it has something to it. I also thought maybe just for the sake of this video, it'd be more interesting to do the more extreme one. I decided to make the tuft longer to add a bit of a fringe effect, so it comes down to his eyebrow, and I think it does make it look a little better. Tried it out with the short hairstyle. It started looking a bit weird, so I thought maybe I'll leave it. But then again, hairstyles can be weird. That's characteristic of the style. So just because it looks weirder to you, that doesn't mean it's not good for the style. It could be better. So now we've got that down. Now we're going to start drawing in him his clothes, so he's just not naked like that. So I'm giving him nice big kind of almost like work boots, so you don't have the pronunciation around the ankle, just almost like horse riding military kind of boots. Some wrinkles around I'm not giving him baggier trousers. I'm going to make more sense for this kind of character, for this kind of style. Nice big belt, low down so you can see all of his abs. Big belt buckle. With this section of the video, the clothes, I'm not an expert, and I also didn't put a lot of effort into thinking about how it would be designed. All the good anime kind of costumes, just like all the good superhero costumes, you have people thinking about it for a long time. I didn't. I just sketched it down just to see what would be interesting for the video. So I got the trousers down, and then the big thing was, okay, how am I going to do the top? Would he have really long sleeves? Would he have sleeves going up to the wrists there, maybe going up to the upper forearms? Or just a sleeveless top? I thought in the end sleeveless top would be best. You think about like characters like Street Fighter, the Ryu from Street Fighter, they got the ripped off sleeve look. I thought it would look okay for this. But I thought just a wife beater kind of thing wouldn't go well, so I decided to add some very, very 90s shoulder pads, something like you might see in, like from a bad guy. Again, not just that's the most appropriate thing for Superman, but also just a bit to like play around for this video. So nice big shoulder pads. Maybe this is a Kryptonian style dress in this world. And the top, just like in a kind of a typical superhero story, it's skin tight to the point where it just looks like skin. So you can see every muscle very clearly. Very low cut. So you can just see the upper part of his pectorals. And he really wants to show off his muscles. Add the cape. Cape, not very characteristic of anime. But, it's Superman, you gotta have it in there. I decided to make it a little more accentuating of his shape. So very thin at the waist and bigger on the bottom. I also didn't mention the feet position. It's just because he's floating, because he's Superman. He's not just doing a ballerina pose. I toyed with the idea of giving him cuffs or bracelets, I guess. Decided against it, but yeah, I think it would work. Making the abs clearer again. Remember, the abs are very important. It's the core of the body. And the chest there. When I ink it, obviously it would all be much clearer. More neck muscles. You really want, when in doubt, add more muscle to the chest, abs, neck, and upper arms. And it doesn't have to be real muscles. They don't have to exist in real life. A lot of classical statue sculptors, they added muscles that weren't there. You know, the point is you just want to make it look muscly. Here, adding the kind of the outline of the Superman logo, but I won't add the S here just yet. I'll add it in when I'm inking and coloring in another video. And yeah, that basically wraps it up. We're going to leave the inking and coloring, which is, you know, deserving of its own video. But here we have the basic shape, a little closer view, and yeah, we'll conclude this in the next part. In the meantime, if you have any ideas for videos or any thoughts you had about this video, comment down below, and maybe I'll make a video about it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.